What's up, guys? I'm Mike Olson with my partner, as always, Justin Moody. We are the Moody Olson team, and this is our YouTube channel, Moving to Las Vegas. Today, we are bringing you the next in our series of Vegas versus videos. We're doing Vegas versus Denver, Colorado. I am very excited about this. I've never actually lived in Denver, but I did live about an hour down the road from there in Colorado Springs. So it's a town that I've spent an absolute ton of time in. I have a lot of affinity for Denver. It's a great city, and I can't wait to compare it to Las Vegas, see how everything shakes out. So as always, we're gonna go ahead and compare these cities across 6 metrics. We talk about the housing market, we talk about the job market, we do a cost of living comparison, we talk about crime rates, outdoor living, and nightlife and dining. Not necessarily in that order. So we're gonna get right into it on this one, guys. Justin is going to kick us off, and he's gonna tell us about the relative housing markets of these two towns.
All right, guys, so let's talk about the housing market in Denver, Colorado versus Las Vegas. First and foremost, I think you're going to see a major difference in the types of housing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The houses in Colorado are a very different style overall. You're going to see a lot more basements, for one thing. Mm-hmm. You're going to see a lot of multi-level stick construction. It's not going to have the stucco. You're going to see a lot more wood siding, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't spent a lot of time there, but from the areas that I have stayed in, I did see like a lot of siding, either wood or vinyl siding. That stood out to me. That's definitely going to be different than the Las Vegas area. What's also different is the price.
Yeah, Denver's expensive.
The average price for a closed home that's closed in Denver is almost $700,000, $671,000.
It is,
and that's on the average.
Yeah, it is an expensive city to live in. My daughter lives in Denver right now, and she's getting ready to leave because the cost of living there is just a little bit too high for her.
Yeah, it's getting pretty crazy. And part of what's driving it up is that there's just not a lot of inventory there. On average, Denver sees annually about 15,000 homes per 90-day trend. Okay, right now they're looking at about 7,600 homes on that 90-day trend. That's cut in half. So there's just really not a lot of inventory. And when there's low inventory, that drives up the prices of the home. So you're starting to see the homes that they have to drop prices if they want to sell.
You know, it's really reflected when you look at the days on market there, because there's only about 26 days on market per average there in Denver, which shows you that when something goes on the market, it gets snapped up pretty quickly. That's a lower number than I've seen here in Las Vegas since I've started working in the industry.
Yeah. And you're at some point, like I was saying, you're going to have to see those prices come down. If you want to buy in that area, it's just getting to the point now where it's very expensive. I mean, we're talking almost Southern California pricing. Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with the really booming economy that is going on there in Denver. Yeah. The job market there, I know we're going to get into the job market of the 2 different cities here in one of the next segments, but that job market is really driving a lot of the people who are moving to Denver, and that's driving the cost of living up, and it's driving the cost of housing up.
Yeah. So if you compare Denver, like we said, we're looking at about $671,000. The average cost in Las Vegas on a closed home, you're looking closer to $425,000. So that is a significantly large gap.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just keep that in mind when you're looking. If you're looking between Denver or Las Vegas, you're going to be able to get a lot more for your money in the Las Vegas area. So, Mike, what's next?
Well, let's go ahead and talk about the cost of living between the 2 cities. So, as always, I am using the NerdWallet cost of living calculator, and I went ahead and put Denver and Las Vegas in there. What I did was I used Denver as the base city, and I put in the median pre-tax household income for Denver, which is $96,920, so call it $97,000 for the sake of round numbers. And in order to maintain a similar standard of living in Las Vegas, you can save about $10,000. You only need $87,834. So the cost of living in Denver is quite a bit higher. Now, the median household income is also quite a bit higher, but as always, we do caution you that that's not necessarily across the board. Denver is a city that is booming in the tech and finance industries. So those industries are skewing the numbers.
Gotcha.
If you work in tech or if you work in finance, chances are you're going to make considerably more than that, which means that you are going to benefit from the increase in income and you're going to have an easier time affording that cost of living. But if you're more of a blue collar worker, or if you're somebody who works in the service industry where those paychecks don't necessarily scale to the same extent, that increased cost of living in Denver is really going to hit you a lot harder. Whereas if you're in one of those industries here in Las Vegas, it's going to be more manageable for you, given that Las Vegas is a city that has a very large percentage of its population in the service industry and in other blue collar industries. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these numbers here. Right off the bat, we can look at the housing cost. And so the median 2-bedroom apartment rent in Denver, you're looking at about $1,932 a month compared to $1,627 a month in Las Vegas. So that's a not insignificant difference right out of the gate. Talking about the difference between buying a home. So this is specific to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home for these two different cities. And it talks about Denver, you're looking at about $657,000 versus Las Vegas, where you're looking at about $520,000. So again, a very significant gap between the two cities when it comes to the cost of procuring housing. Let's move on and look at some of these other numbers. If you're talking about transportation costs, you're going to save some money on gas in Denver, but that's not really surprising. If you've been watching our channel for a while, or if you're experienced with the West Coast, you know that the West Coast has some of the most expensive gas in the nation. We're looking at about $4.16 a gallon here in Vegas, as compared to $3.86 a gallon in Denver. So there is a difference there. You're talking about 50 cents a gallon, but not necessarily as big of a difference as you might see in some other cities in the South or in the Midwest. But you are going to save a little bit of money on your gas expenses in Denver. Now let's go ahead and take a look at food costs. Food costs are going to be much more on par with each other. You're looking at a loaf of bread, $4.56 in Denver versus $4.45 in Las Vegas. Dozen eggs, $4.99 in Denver versus $5.37 in Vegas. Gallon of milk, $4.76 versus $4.83, so pretty much a wash there. And then the two dining out options that NerdWallet uses, they have a 12-inch Pizza Hut pizza, $12.84 in Denver versus $11.99 in Vegas, and a McDonald's quarter pounder with cheese. You're looking at $5.55 in Denver compared to $3.79 in Vegas. So food costs are a bit all over the place there, but as you can tell, it does skew towards more expensive in Denver for most things. Now, if you're talking about entertainment costs, you're looking at about $15.80 for a movie ticket in Denver versus $13 in Las Vegas. Yoga class, it says $21.40 versus $16.67 in Vegas. And finally, it puts a 6-pack of Heineken beer at $10.74 in Denver, $10.12 in Vegas. And then rounding out the cost of living comparison, we're going to talk about healthcare costs. Average doctor's visit in Denver, $121.25 versus $109.60 in Las Vegas. Cost of a dentist visit, $128.67 versus $96.65. Cost of an optometrist visit, $123 versus $96.67. And cost of Lipitor, $416 versus $468. So medication does cost a little bit more here in Vegas. However, overall, healthcare about 12% cheaper in Vegas as compared to in Denver. So let's talk a little bit about how you're going to afford that cost of living. Justin, tell us what you got with the job market.
Like Mike said, there are going to be outliers in the employment opportunities in Denver versus Las Vegas. But I would say that those are probably changing pretty rapidly. You know, I don't want to sound like a homer. You know, I love Vegas, but you know, Denver obviously has some great things going for it because it is it has been at least one of the fastest growing cities in the country. So I want to talk about some of the top employers and industry in the Denver area. So you're going to have places like the University of Colorado. Anytime you have a large Division I university into town, it's going to be one of the top employers. Does that mean that every one of those employees are making above average income? No. I mean, it's just going to count from the dean of the university all the way down to some of the more important jobs like the custodial staff, nursing staff for the university. So those numbers are really hard to gauge. But then you also have the University of Denver, which is another top institute. And then you have, Lockheed Martin has a presence in a suburb called Littleton, just outside of Denver. But then you also have industries like healthcare. And then Mike had mentioned that finance and tech are becoming big opportunities in the Denver area as well. But the hospitality sector, just like Las Vegas, is a thriving job opportunity, job market in that area. Over 17 million people visit Denver every year, so there's always going to be opportunities for jobs. Now, 17 million seems like a lot.
Not compared to Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas got 17 million people just over the summer.
Yeah.
I just actually saw that report. That number was actually down a little bit, actually. So I was like, wow, okay, we saw like a 1.3% decrease in visitors. But I think Las Vegas Airport saw 5 million people come through in the last 90 days.
I still call it McCarran.
Yeah. So in Las Vegas, again, hospitality is going to be a big industry here. Working in the casinos, and Mike and I have talked about it a lot before. When we say you're working in a casino, that doesn't mean you're dealing blackjack or poker or handing out jackpots at the slot machines. There's marketing, there's advertising, there's human resources, public relations. There's all sorts of behind-the-scene jobs in the casino industry. You just happen to be working for a major casino like MGM or Caesars.
Now, let's not get it twisted, though. If you have an outgoing personality and you're good at math, you can make a dang good living.
I have worked with and know dealers that deal poker and blackjack, and I've had clients who've bought amazing homes in those careers. So I'm not trying to diminish the fact that because you're a dealer, dealing blackjack or dealing poker, that you can't make a great living. Just for the purposes of this video, and knowing that most people don't understand the income opportunity those people have, I wanted to point out that there are other options when you work for a casino.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I have a very good friend. She is a hospitality manager. She basically manages people who manage who work with the high rollers. Mm-hmm. She never heard. She works at a corporate office off the strip, but she probably doesn't even walk into a casino. The current unemployment rate in Denver is actually below the national average. The national average being about 5.3, and Denver's right around 4.7. So there is definitely a lot of jobs out there for people. People are taking advantage of it. One thing I was thinking about when we were just, when Mike was talking about Denver was in the blue collar workers. In the construction field, does it shut down when it's snowing?
It slows down.
It
doesn't shut down, but it definitely slows down in the wintertime.
So you'll see a lot of seasonality in employment versus Vegas, where it's always.
Yeah, most definitely you're going to have a harder time finding work if you work in the trades in the wintertime than you would in the summertime, unless you work in something like residential plumbing or residential electrical work. Then you're still going to be just fine because the toilet doesn't care what season it is when it decides to clog up. But if you work in new construction, or if you work in, say, road work or something like that, the jobs are definitely going to slow down in the wintertime, whereas here in Vegas, that sort of work happens year-round.
Gotcha. Now, the crazy thing is, comparing Vegas to Denver, is that Vegas has such a higher unemployment rate, higher than national average. Again, national average being 5.3%. Vegas sits at 7.6%. But Vegas is one of the fastest growing job markets in the country. And some of the research that I've done and it's a commentary that I've heard, and you can go to Google and you can see this yourself. You can go into US News and World Reports, you can see this yourself, is that because Vegas is experiencing so much job growth, you're starting to see more and more people come here without jobs because they're selling their homes in places like California, and they're sitting on a large chunk of money.
Right.
They're sitting on a large chunk of equity, so they don't need to get to work right away. So we do see a higher unemployment rate, and honestly, it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have a very, very large retirement community here.
Very much.
So that's going to skew your employment numbers as well.
Absolutely.
We have, Summerlin is, maybe half of the community of Summerlin is 55 and up.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a large percentage of retired or near retiring
Yes.
residents here in Las Vegas. Same thing with large swaths of Henderson and North Las Vegas. So that is going to have an effect on the numbers.
And also, and we've mentioned this in other videos, Nevada in general and Las Vegas, I'm sorry, Las Vegas in general, but Nevada specifically, is so business friendly that we're seeing so many startups and small businesses starting here. So that hasn't rolled into the unemployment rates. And I know that they're large companies, and we're going to do a video about it soon. Google's making a $400 million investment into tech growth, AI specifically in Nevada, because Google sees the opportunity to grow and expand their business in Nevada. So Google just announced that they're doing a $400 million investment into Nevada tech. So you're going to see a lot more tech businesses and tech startups and tech jobs directly related to Google here in Nevada. So we're really excited about that.
Absolutely.
Plus you have the movie theaters, or the movie studios that are getting ready to open. That is going to open up a ton of union jobs, and we know that union jobs pay a ton of money with great benefits. So there's a lot more opportunity. Look forward to that video, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. We're going to talk about all the opportunity that Vegas has, and then what Mike and I are really excited about.
Absolutely.
All right, Mike, so let's talk about the least favorite thing.
All right, guys, it is time for our least favorite portion of these Vegas versus videos. We're going to talk a little bit about the crime rates, starting with Denver. And surprisingly, Denver does not fare well against Las Vegas when you talk about crime rates. We don't say that to gloat. We just want to give you guys the information that you need when you are making a decision. And according to the U.S. News and their crime rate tracker, they use that scale of 1 to 10 that we tell you guys about in every one of these videos. Las Vegas does come in at a solid 8 on that list, and it has a lower crime rate than similarly sized metropolitan cities, whereas Denver comes in at a 6.1.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's one of the bigger gaps we've seen.
It is one of the biggest gaps that we've seen since we did. I want to say the last one we had that was that big was the San Francisco, and we know about the property crime that they have there in San Francisco. So let's break those numbers down just a little bit. We're not going to dwell on this for too long, but violent crime in Las Vegas, we're looking at 517.3 violent crimes per 100,000 people per year. Compare that with Denver. They are more than double us in violent crime at 1,072.5. And then let's go over to property crime. And Las Vegas has 2,924.3 property crimes per 100,000 people per year. Compare that to the property crime rates in Denver. We are looking at 6,433.2 property crimes per 100,000 people.
Over 2.5 times the amount of property crime.
It is substantially higher in both categories, guys.
Wow. Okay.
I know a lot of people have a preconceived notion that Vegas is not a safe city, and maybe you may or may not have any such notion about Denver in that regard, but the numbers tell a different story.
Surprising, yeah.
Denver is a significantly more dangerous city from a crime perspective than Las Vegas is, and I got to tell you, I was as shocked to hear that as anybody else. I don't want to, I'm not trying to kick Denver while they're down or belabor the point, but I saw something in the news. It's a current ongoing news story right now in Aurora, which is a suburb of Denver, a very large suburb of Denver. Right now, as of the filming of this video, they are experiencing something where they're actually having immigrant gangs that have taken over entire apartment complexes.
I saw that.
Armed with rifles.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have
That's like out of a TV show.
Yeah, you're going to have to send in the SWAT team to clear these guys out. It's crazy.
That just seems like it should be a TV show and not reality.
As somebody who's done some real estate investing, I'm trying to think about how I would deal with that. If I'm the owner of that apartment complex, what do you even do about a situation like that? It's a nightmare. Yeah. So I can't help but feel for the residents in that area. But like I said, guys, we don't want to beat up on Denver. We're just here to give you the facts, and the facts are that they have double the violent crime and triple the property crime that Las Vegas has. So Las Vegas is the safer city, guys.
Can we talk about something more fun?
Yeah, how about we talk about that dining and that nightlife?
All right, and I'm going to lean on you a little bit more on this than I normally would, because I haven't spent a lot of time in Denver. I've been there twice. I will say that I ate at a fantastic restaurant right in downtown Denver called the Oceans Club.
Okay.
Really, really nice steak dinner. And in my research, I saw the downtown has a pretty vibrant scene, a lot of breweries. I know that's something that you enjoy. And I didn't know this, but I guess Denver's known for their pizza.
Denver is known for having really, really good pizza. I'll tell you what Denver is really known for as well, because Denver is really the hub city for that entire north central area of the country, right? So people who live in Wyoming and Montana and the Dakotas, oftentimes if they decide they want to leave their rural areas that compromise those states and move to the big city, a lot of them wind up in Denver. And because of that, what Denver is really a hub for is a lot of live music.
Okay.
So if you live in rural Montana and you start a band, chances are your band is going to pack up and try its fortunes in Denver.
So that's their jump off point.
That is the jump off point for a lot of that. Yeah. So the live music scene in Denver is absolutely phenomenal. And I am somebody who really enjoys going to live music shows, and I particularly like small local bands, small club scene. Heck, when I lived in Colorado, I had a band of my own. Maybe one day I'll put a little clip of it up here on the channel. We
don't want to do that to people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to scare anybody away.
We're trying to grow the channel.
The point being is that there are some phenomenal venues in Denver that have live music all the time. Everything from small little venues like Herman's Hideaway. I actually am personal friends with the guy who owns that place, and it's a great live music venue. They have music there almost 7 nights a week, all the way up to huge nationally known places like Red Rocks, where I got to sit in the 4th row and see Chris Stapleton.
There you go.
That was a phenomenal time.
It's funny that you bring up music, because as I was looking at it, they have great concert series in the summer, spring, and fall. Mm-hmm. But in the winter, you really start to see a drop off on the number of shows. I wonder why that is.
Because it's cold outside.
Do you think it's because there's 3.5 feet of snow on the ground?
It could be. Although I did go see live music on New Year's Eve one time. Okay. And we did have to brave the cold in order to make it into the theater. We saw a band called Lucero. It's one of my favorite alt-rock bands that I got a chance to see when I was there living in that area. But yeah, live music scene is there. The live music scene in Denver is absolutely fantastic. It's going to be significantly different from the live music scene in Las Vegas, which is going to revolve much more heavily around, large national acts, whether they're here in residency or whether they're coming through for a tour. Yeah. We do, of course, have a local music scene, but I can tell you that the local music scene in Denver is much more robust than the local music scene in Las Vegas, whereas our national music scene is going to be much more robust. You're going to have a lot more options for big concerts that have big national acts that you could hear on the radio or on satellite radio, what have you. Denver is a great sports town.
Oh yeah.
So you got the Broncos and you got the Rockies and you got the Nuggets and you got the Avalanche. They are a true four sport town with big teams in all of those sports and die-hard fan bases, particularly the Broncos and the Rockies have huge die-hard fan bases that are there. I know that, Stasha's originally from Colorado, so most of her family, they are Rockies and Broncos fans, which I've gotten the opportunity to watch a couple of Angels-Rockies games with her grandpa. That was fun to do. Fortunately, we won, so, I kept it shut, though. I wasn't going to rub it in.
Well, and that's great because Vegas is an up-and-coming sports scene with the Raiders, the Golden Knights, the A's coming soon. Eventually, we're going to have a professional basketball team.
Oh, it's inevitable.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So Vegas is definitely an up-and-coming sports scene. Now, the great thing is with the newer sports teams, you get these amazing new facilities. Allegiant Stadium is probably the best stadium out there.
It's
as far
certainly
as
up
the
there.
View lines, the technology, just the environment itself. T-Mobile Arena, I've been to several different arenas for hockey games. T-Mobile Arena is hands down my favorite. I've been there for hockey games. I've been there for other sporting events like rodeos. I've been there for concerts. It's just a fantastic experience. So Vegas definitely has that sporting event. And as far as live music is concerned and up-and-coming artists, I think Vegas is trying to address that. You're starting to see more and more bars in the Arts District and in Fremont Street and some of those areas add stages and try and attract more of that live music for the smaller and up-and-coming bands. So I think in the near future you'll start to see that music scene in Vegas really start to thrive. You go to any casino, any lounge, you're going to find somebody who's just an amazing musician playing. One of my favorites is dual pianos. Just a fun experience. You can find that all over town. So when it comes to nightlife and entertainment, well, Denver does have some great options. Again, it's not going to compare to Las Vegas. What are people doing outside? What do they like to do outside?
So, I mean, Denver is obviously going to be a place that is very heavily oriented around winter sports. You're going to be, you're going to be in close proximity to some of the best skiing and snowboarding and winter sports locations in the entire country. And that is really what people think of when they think about outdoors and Denver. Some of the other things that you would take into account is they have some really great rock climbing there. Lots of, again, stuff that's based around the mountains. I mean, Denver sits at the base of the Rocky Mountains, the biggest mountain range in North America. And so that is going to dominate the outdoor living aspect of Denver. You do have some lake sports. There are a couple of lakes around Denver, and I do know people enjoy going out there to go camping and to go boating. And you do have some outdoor recreation vehicle areas, and a lot of people enjoy that sort of thing. It is a pretty decent golf town in the summertime, or in the when it's seasonally appropriate. It's not a year-round golf time for obvious reasons. Hard to find a white ball in snow. Yeah. And I don't know if you've ever played golf when it's cold, but kind of hurts.
It does hurt, especially the hands if you don't hit that pure.
Yeah, and I'm not exactly great at finding the center of the club face, and I've played with you, so I know you're not either.
Absolutely not.
But outdoor entertainment largely going to be oriented around winter sports, whereas you guys know the deal with Las Vegas. Las Vegas is in the middle of the desert, so our outdoor lifestyle type activities are going to revolve around lake sports with Lake Mead and the river. And it's also going to revolve around desert type things such as off-road recreational vehicles, such as camping. We do have Mount Charleston just up the road for hiking, photography, that sort of thing.
Skiing.
We do have skiing. It's not going to compare to anything you're going to see in Colorado, but we do have skiing. To really get the similar quality of skiing that you get in Colorado, you're going to have to drive up either to Utah, or you're going to have to drive out to the Sierra Nevadas in California. And then, of course, if you're familiar with the skiing available in those places, it's on par with anything that you can get in
Northern Nevada, Tahoe, places like that.
Sure, absolutely. But there are plenty of opportunities for outdoor entertainment, outdoor lifestyle activities in both locations. It just depends on, do you like to do things in the heat, or do you like to do things in the snow?
Makes sense.
Guys, that is going to wrap it up for our comparison of Las Vegas and Denver. Don't forget, if you are considering a move to Las Vegas, reach out to Justin and I here at the Moody Olson team. Nobody will work harder for you, and we are here to help you find your dream home. If you're not quite ready to pull the trigger on that, or if you are ready but you still need to find a lender, make sure you reach out to our lending partners, Steve Schauer and Linda Vo. They are the best in town. Steve's been here for over 20 years, and they will take better care of you than anybody else, that I can promise you. They can help you figure out what you can afford. They can help you figure out what sort of rate you're going to get, what sort of monthly payment you're going to have. And if you're not quite ready to buy, they can give you that roadmap that's going to get you there. They can help you figure out exactly how you can get qualified so you can buy your dream home. And when you're ready, call us and we'll help you find it. Until next time, guys, I'm Mike.
I'm Justin.
And we're out of here.